There's a reason the richest soils on Earth are alive with movement. If you dig into a healthy patch of ground and don't see worms wriggling through it, something is missing. These humble creatures are nature's soil engineers, breaking down organic matter into plant-ready nutrients, improving water flow, and leaving behind castings that outperform any bagged fertilizer. Yet, in many modern gardens, especially raised beds and urban plots, worms are scarce. Sterile mixes, compacted ground, and lack of organic life drive them away. The good news is you don't need to buy fancy worm bins or pour money into commercial attractants. 2 overlooked inexpensive materials can turn your soil into a worm paradise almost overnight: alfalfa pellets and moist decomposing leaf mulch. Yet, in many modern gardens, especially raised beds and urban plots, worms are scarce. Sterile mixes, compacted ground, and lack of organic life drive them away. The good news is you don't need to buy fancy worm bins or pour money into commercial attractants. 2 overlooked, inexpensive materials can turn your soil into a worm paradise almost overnight: alfalfa pellets and moist decomposing leaf mulch. Let's break down exactly how they work, how to use them, and why together they create the perfect underground ecosystem. The first secret lies in something most gardeners walk past at feed stores without a second thought: alfalfa pellets. Sold as livestock feed, these small, dry cylinders are actually one of the most powerful natural worm attractants you can add to your soil. Alfalfa itself is a nutrient-dense legume loaded with nitrogen, minerals, and most importantly, a natural plant compound called triacontanol. This compound has been shown to stimulate explosive microbial growth, and microbes are the first stop in the worm food chain. When pellets are buried in soil and watered, they swell, soften, and begin to break down. This decomposition feeds a surge of bacteria and fungi, creating what worms recognize as a rich food zone. Worms don't flock to the pellets directly, they follow the microbial life that is thriving on the breakdown process. Unlike kitchen scraps, which can smell and attract pests, alfalfa pellets are clean, uniform, and slow to decompose. They provide weeks of steady microbial activity, which means worms stick around long enough to settle and multiply. To use them effectively, dig a shallow hole about 4 to 6 inches deep near heavy feeders such as tomatoes or squash. Add a small handful of alfalfa pellets, roughly half a cup per planting hole, and cover with soil. Water thoroughly with about 1 quart or 4 cups of water so the pellets begin to swell and activate. This simple step creates a hidden buffet zone that draws worms deep into the root zone where they do the most good. Repeat this process in several spots around your bed every few weeks to maintain a steady pull for earthworms. If alfalfa pellets bring worms deep into the soil, decomposing leaf, mulch keeps them happy at the surface. Worms are natural surface feeders, especially at night, and what they crave most is a soft, moist, fungal-rich layer of partially decomposed leaves. When leaves begin to break down, they undergo a unique process compared to green food scraps. Instead of bacteria doing the heavy lifting, fungi dominate decomposition. Many worm species actually prefer this fungal-rich material, feeding on the thread-like networks and soft, spongy leaf mold. The result is an environment that not only feeds worms, but also creates a habitat where they want to stay long-term. Leaf mulch does far more than provide food. It acts like a blanket, locking in moisture, buffering soil temperatures against extreme heat or cold, and protecting the soil surface from erosion. Worms, being highly sensitive to moisture and temperature, thrive under these conditions. To apply, simply spread a layer of shredded or whole leaves about 2 to 3 inches thick across your beds. Before laying them down, it's best to soak the leaves thoroughly with water until they're evenly damp. Roughly 1 gallon of water per square foot of mulch does the trick. Once the leaves are in place, don't stir or turn the layer. Just let nature handle decomposition. Over the weeks and months, the leaves will transform into a dark, sponge-like material, alive with microbial and fungal life. Worms will migrate in at night to feed, then retreat into the soil by day, gradually mixing the mulch into your soil profile as they work. On their own, alfalfa pellets and leaf mulch are, pretty powerful. But when combined, they create a dynamic ecosystem that actually mimics a natural forest floor, which is really the gold standard of living soil. Buried alfalfa pellets stimulate microbial life deep in the soil. Worms dive down to access these rich food pockets and in the process aerate the root zone. At the same time, moist leaf mulch on the surface creates a protective, fungal-rich environment that keeps worms near the top layer at night. The two methods together encourage worms to move freely between soil depths, feeding, reproducing, and leaving nutrient-dense castings throughout your bed. The result is not just more worms, but honestly healthier, self-sustaining soil biology. Over time, your soil becomes a living system that supports itself with little intervention. Water drains more easily, nutrients cycle more efficiently, and plants grow stronger because they're plugged into a network that nature perfected. For gardeners working with raised beds, attracting worms can feel impossible. Most bagged soils and mixes are sterile, lacking the microbial and fungal life worms rely on. Even if you introduce worms manually, they often leave or die off because the habitat isn't suitable. This is where alfalfa pellets and leaf mulch become game changers. By burying pellets into sterile mixes and topping with a thick mulch of moist leaves, you essentially seed the soil with food and shelter. Worms from surrounding ground will begin migrating in, and those you introduce will finally have a reason to stay. Within weeks, you'll notice worm castings appearing on the soil surface. Within months, your bed will behave like living ground, with improved structure, better drainage, and a resilience that only biology can provide. Gardeners often fall into the trap of chasing expensive products and complicated systems in search of healthier soil. But the truth is, the most effective solutions are usually the simplest. Alfalfa pellets and moist leaf mulch are inexpensive, easy to apply, and astonishingly effective at attracting and sustaining earthworms. These aren't quick tricks, they are long-term solutions. They don't just feed your plants directly. They feed the underground network of microbes, fungi and worms that make healthy soil possible. Once you start using them, the difference becomes obvious. Plants grow greener, yields improve, and most importantly, the soil begins to feel alive again. If your beds are lifeless and compacted, don't give up. Start with these 2 simple steps. Watch how quickly worms appear, and see for yourself how much easier gardening becomes when the soil starts working for you instead of against you. At Timeless Crops Haven, we believe in letting nature do the heavy lifting. These 2 methods are proof that when you work with biology instead of against it, the results are incredible. If you found this guide valuable, make sure to subscribe to our channel and share it with fellow gardeners who are ready to bring their soil back to life, one worm at a time.